Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door review. And the show was from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And this was a awesome pay-per-view last night. It was a very good show. This was, in my opinion, the best AEW show of the year. It was entertaining from beginning to end. The crowd was hot throughout the night since the buy-in started at 7 o'clock. And the crowd was just, hot throughout those hours until the show ended about 12 o'clock. So it was an awesome show. It was a very good show, Forbidden Door. Even though I don't watch New Japan, I've seen a few matches here and there. But I gotta say, the talent that New Japan has, they are very good in the ring. But I'm gonna run down the card. So on the buy-in, we had 4 matches. We had QT Marshall and Aaron Solo versus Hirooki, Goto, and Yoshi-Hashi. I think that's how you pronounce their names. We had Lance Archer versus Nick Comoroto. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland end up taking on Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. I think that's how you pronounce the name. We had the Gunn Club, Billy Gunn, Austin Colton, and Max Caster versus the DKC, Kevin Knight, Alex Coughlin, and Yuya Uemura. I think that's how you pronounce the name. This was an 8-man tag. And then for the regular matches on the card, we had Guevara, Minourr, Suzuki, and Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino. 6-man tag. The winner gets to have advantage in the Blood and Guts match this Wednesday on Dynamite. And we also had FTR versus United Empire and Roppongi Vice. And this was for the ROH World Tag Team Championship and the IWGP Tag Team Championship. So both tag team titles were on the line. We had Pac versus Miro versus Malakai Black versus Clark Connors. This is to determine the AEW All-Atlantic Champion, the first to crown the first ever All-Atlantic Champion. We had Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo Takagi versus the Bullet Club. We had Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy for the IWGP United States Championship. We had Zack Sabre Jr. versus a choosing of Bryan Danielson. This was Bryan Danielson coming out on Dynamite on Wednesday and said, I found a replacement for me to face Zack Sabre Jr. And his replacement, we all called it. We all guessed it, which I will get to when I talk about that. We had a 4-way match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Jay White, Adam Cole, Hangman Page, and Kazuchika Okada all facing off for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And then in the main event, we crowned a interim AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Of course, Moxley replacing CM Punk. Because this was originally supposed to be CM Punk versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. But of course, Punk got injured. So they had to crown it interim AEW World Champion. But that was the card for Forbidden Door. But very good show. And like I said, this was the best AEW pay-per-view of the year. Well, let's get started with the review. Going to start with the matches that were on the buy-in. So the first match on the buy-in was QT Marshall and Aaron Solo versus Yoshi-Hashi, and Hirooki Goto. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This was a very good match, very entertaining. We had Yoshi-Hashi start off against Aaron Solo. Solo ended up trying to do some underhand tactics to Yoshi-Hashi. Yoshi-Hashi ended up staying strong against Solo. Solo ended up delivering a huge drop kick to Yoshi-Hashi. Yoshi-Hashi ended up coming back and he tagged in Hirooki Goto. And then QT Marshall ended up tagging in. Goto ended up dominating Marshall with some strikes. And Solo tagged back in. And we had QT Marshall and Aaron Solo beating down on Goto. Goto ended up fighting back. And QT Marshall and Aaron Solo ended up sending both Yoshi-Hashi and Goto to the outside. QT ended up hitting a cartwheel plancha to the outside, which was cool. Aaron Solo ended up getting a near fall on Goto. So QT Marshall and Aaron Solo both ended up cornering Goto. And we had Marshall end up getting a near fall off of Goto. Aaron Solo ended up tagging in. Goto ended up delivering a suplex to Aaron Solo. QT Marshall tagged in, started stopping Goto from taking out to Yoshi-Hashi. Goto ended up delivering the lariat to QT Marshall and then went for the tag to Yoshi-Hashi. Yoshi-Hashi ended up taking down QT Marshall with a lariat in the corner. Yoshi-Hashi started delivering some strikes, some crazy strikes to QT Marshall, and then he delivered a back body drop to QT Marshall. Yoshi-Hashi ended up hitting a diving headhunter for a near fall. Aaron Solo ended up sending Yoshi-Hashi to the outside. So we had Yoshi-Hashi end up countering a diamond cutter. QT Marshall recovered, and he ended up hitting the move. Goto ended up breaking up the pin because QT Marshall ended up going for the cover, and Goto broke up the pin. Solo ended up tagging in. He was going for the 450 splash on Yoshi-Hashi. He ended up going for the 450 and missed, and so Yoshi-Hashi ended up tagging in Goto. Aaron Solo ended up fighting out of the Ushigoroshi, and he ended up getting double teamed by both Goto and Yoshi-Hashi. Goto hit QT Marshall with the Ushigoroshi, and that led to both Goto and Yoshi-Hashi. They ended up hitting the Shota on Aaron Solo, and we had Goto end up getting the win. So Yoshi-Hashi and Hirooki Goto end up winning the match. But overall, very good match, very entertaining, and good win for Yoshi-Hashi and Hirooki Goto. Both guys, I haven't seen them fight in the ring before because, like I said, I haven't watched New Japan. But Yoshi-Hashi and Hirooki Goto thought were very good in the match. And what was cool, like the ring announcing, they had both Justin Roberts and New Japan's ring announcer. So they did that throughout the night. So they had Justin Roberts end up announcing in English, and they had New Japan's ring announcer announcing in Japanese, which was cool. So then the next match on the buy-in was Lance Archer versus Nick Comoroto, which this was a very entertaining match. Lance Archer was dominating in the match. So Archer started off the match, he ended up attacking Nick Comoroto with a spear. Comoroto ended up fighting out of the corner. He ended up eating an elbow from Lance Archer. Nick Comoroto ended up getting Lance Archer up for a military press. Archer ended up fighting out of that. So both guys ended up fighting on the apron. Comoroto ended up sending Lance Archer out of the ring with a tackle. Archer ended up running into the barricade head first after that tackle by Nick Comoroto. So Comoroto was yelling at Archer as he was hitting the side slam to Lance Archer. Comoroto started delivering some blows to Lance Archer. Archer ended up falling to his knees. Archer ended up coming back and delivered a huge Uranagi to Nick Comoroto, which looked good. So both guys started trading punches. Comoroto ended up throwing Archer into the corner, but he ended up getting leveled by a series of lariats by Lance Archer. Archer ended up walking up the top rope and delivered a moonsault body press onto Comoroto. He ended up going for the cover. Comoroto ended up kicking out. Archer ended up putting Comoroto on the top rope, and Comoroto started fighting out. Comoroto then delivered a huge power slam to Lance Archer. He ended up going for the cover, and Archer ended up kicking out. Comoroto then climbed up to the top rope, and Archer ended up delivering a knee to Comoroto's face. And then Lance Archer hit the blackout on Comoroto. He ended up getting the pin. So there you go. Lance Archer ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a very entertaining match, but knew that Lance Archer was going to win it. But very entertaining match. And then we saw Alex Marvez. He interviewed Clark Connors about him being in the All-Atlantic Championship match. So Connors ended up sending well wishes for Tomohiro Ishii because Ishii, I heard, got sick, so he couldn't make it to Forbidden Door. So Clark Connors ended up proving to everyone why he's the Wild Rhino, and that he promises to tear the Forbidden Door off its hinges. So that was what Clark Connors had to say. Then we had the next match on the buy-in, which was Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Yoshinobu, Kanemaru, and El Desperado. Very good tag team match here. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, I like them as a team. We had the match start off with Kanemaru and Keith Lee. Keith Lee ended up conducting the crowd as the crowd was singing, "Oh, bask in his glory." So we had Kanemaru and Keith Lee end up bumping chests. Keith Lee ended up asking Kanemaru for a test of strength. Kanemaru ended up climbing up to the middle rope, and he ended up outsmarting Keith Lee, and he started kicking away at Keith Lee. Kanemaru ended up dodging some strikes from Keith Lee, but Keith Lee ended up shoving Kanemaru to the mat. Keith Lee then tagged in Swerve. Desperado then tagged in, so Swerve and Desperado end up going at it. Both guys started trading shoulder tackles. Desperado ended up countering a series of leapfrogs from Swerve. He ended up dropping down with numero dos to Swerve. Swerve ended up immediately fighting to the ropes. He ended up sending Desperado to the outside. Desperado ended up countering a running apron kick. He ended up smashing Swerve into the ring apron. Desperado then locked in a numero dos on the outside on Swerve. Desperado then rolled Swerve back into the ring. Swerve ended up hitting a shotgun drop kick to Desperado. He tagged in Keith Lee. Kanemaru ended up dodging a 10-man attack. He ended up taking out Keith Lee's legs. Desperado ended up taking advantage, and Kanemaru tagged in. He ended up continuing to take down Keith Lee. So we had both Kanemaru and Desperado. They ended up trying to double team on Keith Lee, but Keith Lee ended up overpowering both guys. Keith Lee smashed Kanemaru into Desperado, and then Desperado and Kanemaru came back, ended up hitting a dropkick DDT combo that brought Keith Lee down. So Desperado tagged in. Keith Lee tagged in Swerve. Swerve ended up running over Desperado. He ended up hitting Kanemaru off of the apron. So Swerve hit a series of uppercuts to Desperado. Swerve ended up slamming Desperado down, and he rolled into a brainbuster. He ended up going for the cover, to which Desperado ended up kicking out at 2. So both guys started trading blows. Desperado hit a huge spine buster to Swerve. So both Kanemaru and Desperado ended up hitting a Saito suplex dropkick combo on Swerve. And we had Desperado end up going for the cover, and Swerve kicked out. Keith Lee ended up trying to get involved, but he ended up getting sent to the floor. At the end of the match, we had Swerve end up running in with a big kick, and he ended up taking Desperado down, and Desperado went out to the outside. Keith Lee ended up hitting the Big Bang Catastrophe on Kanemaru, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland ended up winning the match. Post-match, Powerhouse, Will Hobbs, and Ricky Starks started taunting both Keith Lee and Swerve from the crowd. And we had Ricky Starks end up calling Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland Jordan and Pippen, which got boos from the crowd. And then Ricky Starks ended up calling Keith Lee a broke-ass Phillip Banks. So Starks ended up saying that both Keith Lee and Swerve will never compare and challenge Hobbs, and Ricky Starks to a match. So that was pretty much basically what Hobbs and Ricky Starks had to say. So overall, very entertaining match. This was, very good match. Keith Lee and Swerve, like I said, I like them as a tag team. They're very entertaining together. And, just was a good match. And then we had the last match that was on the buy-in, which was the Gunn Club, Billy Gunn, Colton Gunn, Austin Gunn, and Max Caster versus Alex Coughlin, the DKC, Yuya, Uemura, and Kevin Knight. And this was a pretty good match here. We had Yuya, Uemura, Alex Coughlin, the DKC, and Kevin Knight. Those guys are the LA Dojo and New Japan. So we had Max Caster, coming out along with the Gun Club and Anthony Bowens. Anthony Bowens still injured in the wheelchair. So Max Caster was rapping about schooling Yuya, Uemura, Alex Coughlin, DKC, and Kevin Knight, the LA Dojo wrestlers. Anthony Bowens then ended up scissoring with Billy Gunn. So same old, with them coming out there. You have Austin and Colton mentioning the wrong city's name, and then Anthony Bowens ends up naming the right city, where Bowens was like, Chicago! And then Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn did the scissors. So pretty much that was that with them. And then we had Danhausen. Danhausen was on the screen, and he was doing his rendition of the Ass Boys theme. So that pissed off Austin and Colton. So Austin and Colton end up going to the back to find Danhausen. They bailed out of the match. So it was just Caster and Billy Gunn facing Coughlin, the DKC, Uemura, and Knight. So the match started off with a brawl. Coughlin ended up tossing Max Caster to get a near fall. Coughlin and Knight ended up double teaming on Max Caster with some strikes in the corner. Kevin Knight tagged in, ended up hitting a huge splash onto Caster, and then a body slam. He ended up going for the cover. Caster ended up kicking out. Uemura ended up tagging in, and just the dojo was just dominating. Uemura ended up picking a fight with Billy Gunn, and then turned his attention to Max Caster, back to Max Caster. DKC tagged in. He was trading blows with Max Caster. So pretty much Caster Here was just a punching bag to the dojo. So Caster ended up delivering a huge back body drop on Kevin Knight. So Caster finally came back in the match. Billy Gunn tagged in. Billy Gunn ended up wiping out the dojo. Kevin Knight then ended up hitting a drop kick, but he ended up getting hit with the tilt-a-whirl slam by Billy Gunn. And Billy Gunn, at his age of 58, he still got it. So it's impressive, that Billy Gunn at his age still going in the ring. So Coughlin ended up getting tossed by Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn ended up hitting DKC with the Famouser, tagged in Max Caster. So Caster ended up hitting DKC with the mic drop. He ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Billy Gunn, Max Caster, and the Gunn Club, Colton and Austin, they won the match. Even though Gunn and Caster was doing all the work, and Caster was pretty much a punching bag to the dojo guys. So, but Gunn and Caster ended up still winning the match. But in my opinion, this was the weakest match of the buy-in, in my opinion. But those were the matches that were on the buy-in. Now getting into the regular matches on the Forbidden Door card. So Forbidden Door opened up with Jericho, Guevara, and Minourr Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Shota, Umino, and Yuta. This was a trios match, and the winner will get advantage in the Blood and Guts match this Wednesday on Dynamite. So Jericho and Guevara end up coming out first, and Guevara came out along with, of course, Tay Conti. And then Minourr Suzuki came out. Then we had Kingston, Shota, Umino, and Yuta came out. Match started off with Jericho and Yuta. Yuta ended up delivering some strikes to Jericho. Wheeler then hit Jericho with some German suplexes. Wheeler ended up going for a crossface. And we had both teams rushing to the ring. And a brawl ended up ensuing. So all these guys end up brawling onto the outside. So Guevara ended up tagging in. Kingston and Yuta end up attacking Guevara. Guevara ended up coming back with a drop kick. Yuta ended up hitting a body slam and a senton to Guevara. He ended up going for the cover, to which Guevara ended up kicking out at 2. Yuta ended up getting control of the match and tagged in Shota. Shota then delivered a drop kick off of a drop toe hold from Yuta, which looked really cool. Guevara then raked the eyes of Shota and tagged in Jericho. Jericho ended up pummeling Shota in the corner. Shota ended up reversing and beat up on Jericho. Kingston tagged in. Jericho retreated out of the ring and tagged in Suzuki. So now it was Kingston and Suzuki. They were trading blows. So they were delivering some chops and forearms. Suzuki with those loud chops. Suzuki ended up dropping Eddie Kingston, and he ended up cornering Kingston, and Jericho tagged in. Jericho dominated on Kingston. So Kingston returned with some chops to Jericho. Suzuki ended up catching Kingston, locked him in a Roppongi armbar, to which Jericho took advantage and delivered a arm breaker on Kingston. Minoru Suzuki tagged in. He ended up hitting some kicks to Kingston. He ended up going for the cover. Kingston ended up kicking out at 2. Kingston ended up trying to fight back, and Suzuki ended up locking in a hold, like an octopus hold on Kingston. Guevara ended up stretching Yuta, and Jericho stretched Shota. Kingston ended up fighting to the ropes to break off the hold, and Guevara tagged in, and he ended up getting hit with a exploder suplex from Kingston. Shota tagged in, ended up knocking Jericho off the apron, and Shota ended up dropping Guevara hard. Minoru Suzuki ended up stopping Shota from getting a lot of momentum there. So Shota fought back. He ended up taking his eye off of Guevara. And Shota ended up hitting an uppercut and a fisherman suplex for a near fall. So Shota ended up sending Jericho to the outside, ended up hitting a apron cannonball. And then, out of nowhere, Guevara hit a great, awesome-looking shooting star press to the outside on Shota, which was awesome. Guevara knows how to hit a shooting star press. And then Yuta, out of nowhere, hit a tope on Guevara to the outside. Kingston then ended up hitting a elbow suicida on Guevara. And Suzuki ended up teasing a dive, but he didn't go for it. So Shota ended up running after Minoru Suzuki, but he ended up getting dropped by Suzuki. Yuta ended up tagging in, ended up hitting a flying crossbody on Guevara. Yuta then ended up getting another near fall. Kingston tagged in. Guevara ended up taking out Yuta. Kingston locked Guevara in a stretch. Suzuki ended up breaking up the hold, and Suzuki ended up getting dropped by a back fist. At the end of the match, we had Shota end up fighting back against Guevara and Suzuki. But Shota ended up walking into the Judas effect by Jericho. So Jericho ended up going for the cover. And they go Jericho, Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki end up winning the match. So Jericho and Guevara and Suzuki end up getting advantage in the Blood and Guts match on Wednesday on Dynamite. So there you go. But overall, very good match this was. Very entertaining. And like I said, that shooting star press by Guevara onto Shota was awesome. But very good match and very entertaining. And then we had the winner-take-all match. The IWGP Tag Team Championship and the ROH World Tag Team Championship was on the line. We had the United Empire, Jeff Cobb, and Great-O-Khan. They are the IWGP Tag Team Champions. And they have taken on FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, who, of course, are the ROH World Tag Team Champions. And also Roppongi Vice, Rocky Romero, and Trent Beretta. Very good match this was. We had Trent Beretta and Dax Harwood end up starting off the match. Jeff Cobb ended up taking himself in to take on Dax Harwood. Cobb was dominating on Dax, and Rocky Romero ended up blind tagging in. He ended up taking advantage of Dax Harwood. Dax ended up cornering Rocky Romero and tagged in Cash Wheeler. Wheeler ended up attacking, tagged back in Dax. Dax ended up tweaking his arm, and he tagged back out to Cash Wheeler. And we had physician end up coming out to check on Dax. So Dax ended up getting taken to the back. Cash ended up fighting against Great-O-Khan. Cobb tagged in. He started continuing the assault on Cash Wheeler. So the United Empire, both Cobb and Great-O-Khan, they were tagging back in and out, being up on Cash Wheeler. Cash tagged Trent Beretta in. So Beretta and O'Khan, they were trading blows. Beretta ended up hitting a swinging DDT and fight off both Cobb and Great-O-Khan. Cobb ended up delivering a deadlift brainbuster to Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero tagged in, and Romero and Beretta ended up taking it to the United Empire, Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan to the outside, and Rocky Romero ended up getting a near fall on a sliding knee strike, and O'Khan ended up fighting out of it. Cash Wheeler tagged himself in, and he ended up taking out Cobb and Great-O-Khan. Cobb and Great Khan end up mocking Cash Wheeler. Dax Harwood end up coming down the ramp. He had his shoulder all taped up. So Harwood got back to the match. So Cash ended up outsmarting Cobb and Great Khan, and he tagged in Dax Harwood. Dax Harwood ended up fighting off both guys with one arm, which was cool. Harwood ended up clearing the ring with some strikes and suplexes. So Harwood ended up hitting a rolling German suplex on Cobb. Cobb ended up fighting out. Trent Beretta ended up helping Dax Harwood hit a superplex, which was cool. Wheeler ended up tagging in, ended up hitting a big splash. So at the end of the match, we had FTR end up hitting the big rig on Rocky Romero. And there you go, FTR end up winning the match. So FTR retain the ROH World Tag Team Championship, and they are crowned IWGP Tag Team Champions. So they end up winning the IWGP Tag Team Championship. So that is awesome for FTR. But overall, very entertaining match. Very good match by these guys. Great wrestling here. So then we went backstage, and Tony Schiavone was backstage. He was interviewing Jay White and Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson ended up claiming to be the true IWGP United States Champion. So Jay White ended up saying that he will live up to Juice's feats to win the 4-way match for the IWGP World Championship. So, there you go. That was what Jay White and Juice Robinson had to say. And then we had Miro versus Pac versus Malakai Black versus Clark Connors for the inaugural AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Very good match this was. We had all these guys. They were taking turns to start it off. So we had Miro completely dominating on Clark Connors with some slams. Malakai Black and Pac were battling on the top rope. Pac ended up missing a sunset bomb, and they were trading leg sweeps, both Pac and Malakai Black. So Miro ended up catching some strikes from Malakai Black, and he overpowered on Malakai Black. Black ended up dropping Miro, and Clark Connors ended up taking on Malakai Black. Black ended up locking Connors in a knee bar. Miro then pulled Connors to the ropes by his hair, and so Miro was completely dominating through the match, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Connors ended up kicking out. So Malakai Black and Pac ended up trying to fight each other, and Miro just took them out. Miro was dominating, but he couldn't get a pin, and all three men were just frustrating on Miro. So Black ended up coming back with a super kick. He ended up tossing Clark Connors out of the ring. Pac ended up hitting a huge tope on Malakai Black on the outside, which was cool. Pac then ended up hitting a run apron kick on Clark Connors. He ended up climbing to the top rope and delivered a shotgun drop kick to Miro, which sent Miro across the ring. Pac ended up delivering a German suplex to Malakai Black. So all these guys were trading suplexes. So Black ended up going under the ring. He ended up grabbing a table. Black ended up setting the table up against the barricade. Miro ended up blocking, getting thrown into the table. So Miro ended up picking up Pac, but Pac ended up sending Miro into the ring post. Connors ended up spearing Miro through the table. Connors ended up getting Malakai Black back in the ring. Connors ended up hitting a huge power slam to Malakai Black. Connors then speared Pac, and he ended up hitting Pac with the trophy kill, and he ended up going for the cover. Malakai Black broke up the pin. So at the end of the match, we had Miro locking Pac in the camel clutch, and Malakai Black ended up spraying the mist in Miro's eyes. Malakai Black ended up locking Clark Connors in a submission, and Pac ended up hitting both Malakai Black and Connors with the 450 splash. Black ended up locking in the brutalizer on Clark Connors, and there you go. Pac ended up winning the match, and Pac is the first ever AEW All-Atlantic champion. So that's pretty cool. All of us thought that Miro was going to be the one to win the All-Atlantic Championship. That was my thought, but they proved us all wrong here. But really cool that Pac is the first ever All-Atlantic champion. So hopefully this does good for Pac with him holding the All-Atlantic Championship. So, but very entertaining match this was. This awesome match. And then we went to the Bullet Club. Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and El Phantasmo versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo Takagi. This was an awesome match here. Good wrestling, once again, good wrestling from these guys here. So we had Shingo Takagi end up coming out, and then Darby Allin, Nick Jackson, and El Phantasmo. And Sting didn't make his entrance, along with Darby Allin. So the lights end up going out in the arena. It cuts to the rafters. We all thought that Sting was going to make his entrance from the rafters. But no, Sting ended up jumping off of the entrance, and he ended up taking out Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and El Phantasmo, the Bullet Club, during their entrance. So we had a brawl ensue. Takagi ended up taking it to El Phantasmo in the ring, and he ended up taking in Sting. We had Takagi and Sting ended up double teaming on El Phantasmo. Darby tagged in. He started out wrestling Phantasmo. Matt Jackson tagged in. So the Young Bucks ended up getting involved and ended up taking out Darby with a dive. So Nick Jackson tagged in. Nick ended up maintaining some dominance. So we had the Bullet Club trapping Darby Allin in the corner, and they were just tagging in and out, underhanded tactics by the Bullet Club. Darby ended up fighting back, but he couldn't get control of the match because the Bullet Club was still dominating. Phantasmo started taunting Sting, and Phantasmo ended up standing on Darby's crotch. So Darby ended up coming back with a German suplex to Phantasmo. So we had Hirooki, who was also out there. He was there along with the Bullet Club. So Hirooki ended up pulling Sting off the apron. Darby ended up getting the better of El Phantasmo, hit the code red on El Phantasmo. Takagi tagged in. Takagi ended up taking out both of the Young Bucks. Takagi ended up hitting a twist and shout on Nick Jackson. He ended up going for the cover, to which Jackson ended up kicking out. Takagi ended up hitting a huge Death Valley driver onto Nick Jackson. He tagged in Sting. Nick ended up tagging in Matt. Sting ended up chopping the hell out of both Matt and Nick. Sting ended up taking out all the Bullet Club members, so he took out the Bucks and El Phantasmo. So El Phantasmo, he tried to do the nipple twist on Sting, but it did nothing. to him, and Hikuleo got involved. He ended up keeping Sting from locking in the Scorpion Deathlock on El Phantasmo, to which Darby Allin ended up hitting the stunner on El Phantasmo. The Bucks ended up taking out Takagi, and Sting ended up absorbing a super kick and took out both Matt and Nick Jackson, because Matt and Nick were going to go for the double super kick on Sting, and Sting ended up absorbing that super kick by the Bucks and took both of them out. Darby ended up tagging in. Matt countered the coffin drop by Darby Allin. And so Phantasmo ended up hitting the Thunder Kiss 86 on Darby. He ended up going for the cover, and Darby ended up kicking out at 2. So we had Sting end up dodging the BT trigger and hit a double Scorpion Deathlock on the Bucks. Sting ended up running in, and this was funny. He grabbed El Phantasmo's nipples, which was funny. And Darby Allin ended up taking out Hikuleo with a coffin drop. So at the end of the match, we had Takagi end up pummeling El Phantasmo. He ended up hitting the Pumpkin Bomber on Phantasmo. And then the Last of the Dragon. And he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo Takagi ended up winning the match. Overall, very entertaining match. Very good match. The wrestling here was good as always. And just, that funny point where Sting ended up doing the nipple twist on El Phantasmo. That was hilarious. And then they ended up announcing Grand Slam for this year, as they are returning to Queens at Arthur Ashe Stadium on September 21st, which is awesome. But hopefully I attend the show come September, but who knows. I would love to go to Grand Slam since I missed out on it last year. So awesome that they announced Grand Slam for September of this year. It's going to take place on September 21st. And then we had the Jericho Appreciation Society backstage. The JAS ended up telling Shota Umino that he earned their respect. And so Jericho, with him being the wizard that he is, he ended up throwing a fireball in Shota's face. So that was what happened backstage. Jericho doing his wizard antics. With the fireball, he did it to Eddie Kingston, and he did it to one of the crew members. I remember. So Jericho still continuing him being a wizard. And then we had the AEW Women's World Championship on the line. Thunder Rosa defended the title against Toni Storm. And this was a entertaining match here. Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, both are very good. Both women I really enjoy in the ring. So the match started off with both Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm end up shaking hands. So Toni Storm ended up getting Thunder Rosa down to the mat. Thunder Rosa came back and they started trading strikes. Thunder Rosa ended up firing off a stunner on Toni Storm, and she ended up hitting a huge clothesline in the corner to Toni Storm, followed up with a knee strike to Toni Storm's gut. Thunder Rosa ended up maintaining control of the match. She ended up going for the cover off of a Northern Light suplex on Toni Storm, but Toni Storm ended up fighting back. She ended up doing some roll-ups, and Thunder Rosa ended up kicking out. So Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, they ended up fighting to the outside. Thunder Rosa continued to have dominance during the match. Toni Storm ended up climbing up to the top rope, and Thunder Rosa ended up stopping her. Toni Storm fired out of a Death Valley driver from Thunder Rosa, and she ended up hitting a German suplex to Thunder Rosa. Toni Storm then ended up going for the DDT on the outside. She ended up hitting a big hip attack. Toni Storm in the corner, and another DDT on Thunder Rosa. She ended up going for the cover. Thunder Rosa kicked out too. Toni Storm was continuing the assault on Thunder Rosa, to which Thunder Rosa came back with an arm breaker. And Thunder Rosa then delivered a huge knee strike, and she followed up with a Death Valley driver on Toni Storm. Thunder Rosa then delivered the Fire Thunder driver on Toni Storm, ended up going for the cover. Toni Storm ended up kicking out. So Thunder Rosa started kicking away at Toni Storm. Toni Storm countered with a German suplex, but Thunder Rosa came back and delivered an arm attack and the final reckoning on Toni Storm. And there you go. Thunder Rosa won the match, still retains the AEW Women's World Championship. Overall, good match. Really enjoyed it. Both women, like I said, really enjoy in the ring. They're both very good. So Thunder Rosa, still the AEW Women's World Champion. And I wish she would be more featured on TV, on Dynamite. Because why do we see that we saw Marina Shafir? I feel like we've seen Marina Shafir more than Thunder Rosa on AEW television, on Dynamite. Marina Shafir is fucking terrible and boring. We've seen more of her than Thunder Rosa, I feel like. And then we had Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship on the line. Will Ospreay is champ. And a lot of people were saying, oh, this match was going to suck. Oh, this match is not going to live up to any of the other matches that are on the Forbidden Door card. Man, you all were proven wrong. This was a awesome match here. This, in my opinion, was the best match of the night. So Will Ospreay ended up starting off the match. He was going frustrated by Orange Cassidy. So both guys ended up fighting to the outside. Will Ospreay ended up continuing his assault on Orange Cassidy. And he was using Aussie Open to gain momentum of the match. Ospreay ended up battling Orange Cassidy into the ring. He ended up hitting a diving hidden blade on Orange Cassidy. He ended up going for the cover. Cassidy kicked out at 2. So Will Ospreay was just brutalizing Orange Cassidy at this point in the match. Ospreay ended up locking in the Cobra Twist. He reached into Orange Cassidy's pocket and he pulled out the middle finger, which was very funny. Cassidy started to come back and he was delivering some light kicks to Will Ospreay. Cassidy ended up taking out Aussie Open with a side whisper in the wind. Orange Cassidy ended up smashing Will Ospreay into the corner camera. And with that, he ended up breaking the camera. So Orange Cassidy ended up hitting the beach break on Will Ospreay. Ended up going for the cover. Ospreay kicked out. Ospreay ended up hitting some Oz cutters on Orange Cassidy. Ended up going for the cover. Cassidy kicked out at 2. Cassidy ended up ducking a hidden blade. And Cassidy ended up countering the Stormbreaker with a Hurricanrana on Will Ospreay. He ended up going for the cover. Ospreay kicked out at 2. Will Ospreay ended up coming back. He ended up hitting a lariat to Orange Cassidy. So Ospreay ended up hitting the hidden blade on Orange Cassidy. Ended up going for the cover. Cassidy kicked out at 2. Ospreay then ended up hitting the Stormbreaker. And he went for the cover. And there you go. Will Ospreay ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had the United Empire. They ended up attacking Orange Cassidy. Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero end up coming out to make the save. And we had Katsuyori Shibata. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So he ended up coming out. Shibata ended up taking out Aussie Open. Shibata was dressed. He was ready to fight. Shibata ended up hitting a pump kick on Will Ospreay. Shibata ended up hitting Ospreay with a shotgun drop kick. So Will Ospreay got saved by Aussie Open. So Aussie Open saved Ospreay from getting the rear naked choke locked in from Shibata. So Orange Cassidy was walking behind Shibata. Shibata turned around. We had a face-to-face between the both of them. Orange Cassidy thanked Shibata, and he took out his shades. Orange Cassidy took out his shades, and he was about to put them on, but then he put his shades on Shibata. So that was pretty cool. Shibata looked pretty cool with the shades on. But that was pretty much basically that. So basically I think Shibata is going to face Will Ospreay is what they're setting this up for. That's my prediction. But overall, very good match this was by Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy. To all those people that said, oh, this match was going to suck, you all were proven wrong. Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy tore it down last night. And it was the best match of the night, in my opinion. Next, we had Zack Sabre Jr. He ended up coming out, and we were going to find out who his opponent was going to be, because Bryan Danielson ended up picking the opponent, because of course this was originally supposed to be him versus Bryan, and Bryan of course is injured. So Zack Sabre Jr.'s opponent was none other than Claudio Castagnoli, aka Cesaro. And when he came out, he got a humongous pop from the crowd there in Chicago. It was a fantastic pop. And it was good to see Claudio. He looked happy to be there. And he posed with the cameraman there as he made his way down. So the match started off with Claudio. He ended up pinning the European uppercut and the neutralizer on Sabre. And I was like, no, that can't be the finish there. So he ended up going for the cover, and Sabre ended up kicking out. Sabre ended up rolling out of the ring. Claudio ended up sending Sabre into the barricade. Sabre ended up trying to escape from Claudio, but Claudio kept the momentum going. Zack Sabre Jr. ended up dodging an uppercut. Claudio ended up going into the barricade. So both guys went back to the ring. Sabre ended up attacking Claudio's arm, but he ended up getting dropped by Claudio with another uppercut. Claudio then ended up hitting a delayed vertical suplex on Sabre. Sabre retreated to the apron, and he ended up trapping Claudio's leg. Sabre ended up continuing to stretch the arm of Claudio. Sabre ended up dodging another attack by Claudio. He hit Claudio with the La Mystica. And Sabre ended up continuing to stomp away on Claudio. Claudio countered with the head scissors, and Sabre ended up fighting out of the head scissors and ended up attacking Claudio's leg. Claudio fought back, hit the Uranagi backbreaker on Sabre. Claudio hit another strike on Sabre. Sabre countered with a armbar. Claudio tried to powerbomb out of that, but Sabre ended up taking Claudio over the top rope out to the floor, and the hold was locked in still. The armbar was still locked in. Claudio ended up carrying Sabre up the ring steps, which was very cool, with the armbar still locked in. Claudio carried him up the ring steps and powerbombed Sabre into the ring from the apron. Claudio ended up going for the big swing, which I thought we were going to see, but Sabre countered that with a guillotine choke. We were all getting hyped up to see the big swing by Claudio. Claudio then slammed Sabre on the top rope. Sabre fought out of a superplex and locked in a top rope octopus hold. Sabre then ended up sending Claudio to the canvas, and Claudio came back with a leaping uppercut. So at the end of the match, Claudio hit the discus lariat and then hit the Ricola bomb on Sabre. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Claudio Castagnoli ended up winning the match. And this was a awesome match. Claudio's AEW in-ring debut here at Forbidden Door. And Claudio is now part of the Blackpool Combat Club. Very good entry for Claudio into the club, into the Black Combat Club. So, but it was awesome. It was awesome for Claudio's debut, and the crowd giving him a humongous pop. Everyone was willing to see Claudio. A lot of people, including me, I thought it was going to be Gargano. I thought Gargano was going to face Zack Sabre Jr. Here, but I was like, you know what? It's going to be Cesaro. But it was good. Claudio coming in there gave a good performance in the ring. So we'll see where he goes on the AEW roster. Hopefully they use him good. And I saw someone online say, oh, how long until Claudio gets sent to AEW Dark? Hopefully that's not the case. Claudio is not AEW Dark material after the match that we saw last night. Claudio, hopefully, will be on Dynamite. He'll probably have maybe one match on AEW Dark. Hopefully, he doesn't compete on there like all the time. So, like I said, Claudio is not AEW Dark material. But overall, this was an awesome match. And then we had the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Jay White, who's a champ, defended the title against Kazuchika Okada, Hangman Page, and Adam Cole. A four-way match. And this was a very good match here. All these guys were great here. The match, in the end, fell off a bit, in my opinion, which I will get to. So the match started off with all four guys in the ring. So Jay White retreated out of the ring first, and then Adam Cole retreated next out of the ring. And then Kazuchika Okada and Hangman Page were the only two in the ring. Okada and Page shook hands. And then we had White and Cole attacked Okada and Page. Jay White and Adam Cole suplexed Hangman and Page on the ramp, which had to hurt. So we went back to the ring. Jay White and Adam Cole end up isolating Okada, started chopping away at him. Page pulled Jay White out of the ring, sent him into the ring steps. Okada tried to get control of the match, but Adam Cole and Jay White started continuing to work on Okada. Page took out Jay White on the apron. He then ended up hitting Adam Cole with a fallaway slam. Page then ended up hitting a moonsault on Jay White, and then ended up getting a near fall on Adam Cole in the ring. Page chopped Adam Cole around the ring. So Adam Cole and Jay White, them teaming up became too much for Page, and Okada ended up fighting off both of them. Okada drop-kicked Adam Cole off the top rope out to the floor. Okada ended up sending Adam Cole and Jay White into the crowd. Okada hit a flying crossbody over the barricade, and Okada ended up sending Cole back into the ring. So Okada ended up locking in the money clip, and Jay White ended up breaking up the hold. So we had Jay White and Adam Cole. They were conversing between each other. They ended up to Sweden, and Adam Cole ended up hitting the backstabber on Jay White. Cole then hit the brainbuster to the knee on Jay White. He ended up going for the cover. Jay White ended up kicking out. White ended up hitting a Uranagi on Adam Cole. Cole ended up finding out of a suplex. Jay White started chopping away at Adam Cole. Jay White ended up just laying out some suplexes. Cole hit the Shining Wizard. Okada then ended up hitting the Discus Lariat. Page ended up hitting the Lariat, so all these four men were down in the ring. So Hangman ended up getting nearly a pin on Jay White. Hangman Adam Cole ended up calling for the Buckshot Lariat, and Adam Cole ended up stopping him from doing it. Page ended up taking out Adam Cole, and he ended up taking out Okada with a moonsault. So Jay White ended up countering the Buckshot Lariat. Page ended up coming back with the Deadeye on Jay White. So Page ended up pinning the Buckshot Lariat on Jay White. He ended up going for the cover. Okada broke up the pin. So Jay White ended up rolling out of the ring. So we had Page and Okada. They ended up staring each other down. They started trading some strikes and blows. Page ended up countering a tombstone from Okada. Page ended up dodging a drop kick. Okada countered the Deadeye by Page, to which Page ended up hitting the German suplex on Okada. Cole ended up keeping Page from hitting the Buckshot Lariat, and Cole hit Okada with the super kick. Okada countered the Panama Sunrise with a air raid crash on Adam Cole. Okada then climbed up to the top rope. Okada hit the elbow drop on Adam Cole. Cole then countered Okada, took out Okada and Page with some super kicks. So at the end of the match, we had Jay White end up hitting the Blade Runner on Okada, and Jay White covered Adam Cole. And so there you go. Jay White ended up winning the match. He still retains the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And that is at the point where the match fell off, because Adam Cole got hurt. Adam Cole suffered a concussion in the match. And I guess that is why Jay White ended up pinning Adam Cole. I guess they called an audible here, so Jay White had to cover Adam Cole to get the win. That's just my opinion. I think it was an audible cover, because post-match we had the doctors end up coming out to check on Adam Cole. So pretty much that was that. But overall, very good match, very entertaining. All four guys were good in the match. And then we had the main event. Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. This was for the interim AEW World Championship. And this was really supposed to be CM Punk versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. But of course, Punk is injured. So Moxley got into the match. And pretty good match this was. Tanahashi ended up maintaining control of the match on Moxley. And he ended up hitting a crossbody to Moxley. Both guys started trading blows. Tanahashi ended up drop kicking Moxley's knee. Tanahashi ended up stretching Moxley's knees, but Moxley ended up fighting to the ropes. Moxley ended up getting some control of the match, ended up knocking Tanahashi around. Moxley ended up hitting a huge pile driver on Tanahashi. He ended up going for the cover. Tanahashi kicked out at 2. Moxley ended up stretching Tanahashi with a chin crusher. He started stomping away on Tanahashi's face. So Moxley ended up locking in a clover leaf. Tanahashi ended up trying to fight to the ropes. Moxley ended up transitioning to a face lock, to which Tanahashi ended up getting to the ropes to break it up. Tanahashi ended up body slamming Moxley. Tanahashi ended up hitting a somersault senton for a near fall, to which Moxley ended up kicking out. Moxley clotheslined Tanahashi out of the ring. And Moxley ended up sending Tanahashi to the outside, sending him into the barricade. Moxley hit the Uranagi, sending Tanahashi through the timekeeper's table. Tanahashi ended up beating the count out because Moxley was already in the ring. Moxley locked in the armbar as Tanahashi started to fight out, started stomping away on Moxley's face. So Tanahashi hit the sling blade on Moxley, to which Moxley rolled out of the ring, and Moxley was busted open. He was bleeding badly. Tanahashi ended up climbing to the top rope, ended up hitting Aces High to the floor. So both guys went back to the ring. Tanahashi ended up fighting out of the paradigm shift, hit a series of twists and shouts on Moxley. Moxley ended up hitting the German suplex to Tanahashi, so Moxley ended up nearly pinning Tanahashi. Moxley ended up hitting a lot of elbows to Tanahashi. Tanahashi headbutted Moxley. So at the end of the match, Moxley ended up locking in a rear naked choke. He transitioned that into a bulldog choke on Tanahashi. Tanahashi ended up getting to his feet, and that's when Moxley hit the Death Rider on Tanahashi. He ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Jon Moxley ended up winning the match. So Moxley is the interim AEW World Champion. Obviously, I knew that Moxley was going to win it. But post-match, we had the whole Jericho Appreciation Society end up coming out. They end up being down on Tanahashi and Moxley. So then we had the Blackpool Combat Club end up running out. You had Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. We had a brawl ensue. Claudio came out and cleared the ring. Claudio delivered the big swing on Daniel Garcia, to which we should have saw in his match with Zack Sabre Jr., but apparently Sabre countered that. So I'm glad that we got to see the big swing here by Claudio. I was like, oh, are we going to see a big swing by Claudio tonight? But eventually it came right here. I said he ended up delivering the big swing to Daniel Garcia. And so Claudio and the whole Blackpool Combat Club stood tall in the ring. And that's how Forbidden Door ended. And I know a lot of people didn't like this end here, but I thought this was a cool way, to get you hyped for Blood and Guts this Wednesday on Dynamite. I thought, it was a fun way. We went from, Forbidden Door. Now they built towards Blood and Guts. So I thought that was a fine way. I thought that was a good way. So as we go from the Forbidden Door show to this end, and it's set up for Blood and Guts for Wednesday on Dynamite. But overall, this was a good match between Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Obviously, I knew Moxley was going to win it. Moxley is just going to be the champ until CM Punk returns from injury. But overall, very good show Forbidden Door was. This was the best AEW show of the year. Just great wrestling all out last night. And enjoyable show. I hope we get a Forbidden Door 2 next year. But anyways, that's it for my review of Forbidden Door. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all later tonight with the Monday Night Raw review. Yeah, we go from a awesome, great show last night in Forbidden Door. And then back down to shit tonight with Monday Night Raw. The only thing that's going to be good about Monday Night Raw tonight is John Cena's return. So, to set up his match against Austin Theory. So that's going to be the only decent thing of Monday Night Raw tonight. But anyways, see you all with the Monday Night Raw review later tonight.